Galnet News Digest, 29th of October 3310. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, with the new version of Powerplay just days away, we preview what it is and how you can get involved.
By the 34th century, politics has developed to a highly sophisticated and quite frankly rather feudal level. There are 3 superpowers and plenty of independent systems, and there are minor factions at the system level, a sort of local government or parish council, but neither the superpowers nor the factions count for much in terms of galactic politics. What counts are the 12 Powerplay powers, each of which is willing to do pretty much anything to expand their sphere of influence. If you work for Emperor Orissa and you see someone who thinks Princess Aisling is pretty cool, you don't try to persuade them with words. You attack them and try to wipe them off the face of the galaxy. How dare they not believe the same thing as you? If you pledge to a power, you'll never be safe in the territory held by any of the other 11 powers. The PP-Popo will pounce on you, even inside the no-fire zone, and if you have the temerity to fight back, you'll become a criminal. If that doesn't sound appealing, there are benefits to working for one of the powers. You'll eventually get access to 12 special modules for your spaceship, not all of which are utterly terrible. You get discounts on some modules and bonus payments for some activities. These are different for each power. For example, if you like mining, then Zemina Torval or Nakato Kane are good choices. If you like trading rare goods, that's Edmund Mahan. For a bonus selling exploration data, Lee Yong-ri is the best choice. And if you're an amateur botanist, Pranav Antal pays extra for biological scans. There's an overlay in the galaxy map that shows you where the powers are, although it seems to default to having a lot of the icons turned off, so the map can look quite empty. Their powers' colours have been carefully chosen to clearly stand out from one another. Here, for example, we can see Edmund Mahan's systems picked out in green and Nakato Kane's adjacent systems highlighted in a completely different shade of green.
Before you can pledge to any power, you need to read some rather confusing text that doesn't really explain how Powerplay works. Don't worry, there's some even more confusing text to come later. So who should we pledge to? Well, there's a piece of Imperial totty who gets all the commanders hot under their flight suits, whose charisma is so strong you can feel yourself melting under her gaze. Someone who takes a real interest in the plight of slaves, and who'd love one day to become emperor. Let's pledge to her. And here comes another wall of text. Basically, there are strongholds, which are the power's main bases, and there are fortified systems, which belong firmly to the power but are not yet strongholds, and there are exploited systems, which are only just about owned by the power and could easily be lost to another power if enough effort isn't put into maintaining them. The powers can also expand into unassigned systems, although it's hard to know why you'd want to. Just how much galaxy does one person need? Your role, as a humble pawn on the chessboard of galactic politics, is to assist in maintaining your power's influence and to be unfriendly to the other powers. By performing reinforcing and undermining tasks, you can strengthen your power and weaken others. It's probably best not to worry too much about how powers expand and interact unless you particularly enjoy planning a game of 3D chess from the pawn's viewpoint. Some people will, that's for advanced players, and we're not one of them, at least not yet. The bit that matters to us is that if we do what we're told, we'll earn something called merits. Do you remember when credits were something you needed to work hard to get? And then engineering materials took over as the new currency because they were hard to get. Well, now that engineering materials are pretty easy to come by, merits are the new currency. Sort of. By earning merits, you earn a ranking within your power, and that gives you rewards. Rewards like access to those special modules, or something called care packages. You only need 775,000 merits to become a level 100 Archmage. How hard can that be? But how do you get merits? Well, to get you started, there's a handy list of weekly assignments. You're not limited to doing just these tasks, but if you want to be a good pawn, then you'd better make sure you tick off all the items on that list.
If you choose to pledge to your power while you happen to be in a stronghold belonging to another power, you will at some point need to escape. But first, have a look round. Bizarrely, you're allowed to walk around inside a stronghold station entirely unmolested. No one even looks at you in a funny way, despite your "I spy for the enemy" t-shirt. And your power has an agent, right there, in the heart of enemy territory. This is the rather weird-looking person you deliver your undermining materials to, once you've worked out what that means. But as soon as you fly out through the airlock, those strange tribal Powerplay peelers will attack you like berserkers, while the system police reassure you that everything is just fine. Let's hope you're not flying an exploration build Mandalay when this happens.
Okay, you made it. You didn't get blown up by Princess Aisling after all. And you read the first item in your task list, and it says you need to sell 10 tons of rare goods into an acquisition system. Remember that systems are either stronghold, fortified, or exploited. And there was no mention whatever of acquisition systems. Looking at the cleverly designed and totally unexplained map, you might eventually work out that what you need to find is a system that's not stronghold, fortified, or exploited, but which is connected to one by a solid line. We don't make the rules here. So, let's take our load of Kamitra cigars to this unoccupied but connected by a solid line to a fortified system called Pemioa. Oh, wait, no. We can't do that because tobacco products are banned in this system and there's no black market. After a bit of research, we find a single outpost in another system that's willing to take our hateful Kamitra cigars, and it has a large landing pad. But no, this system can't be the right sort of acquisition system. Reading another incomprehensible slab of text, we find that we should be doing our acquisition activities, such as selling cigars, in expansion systems. And after a bit more experimentation, we work out that most of the Powerplay state filters on the galaxy map have been turned off, which is why we can't find any of the sort of system that we need. The map is a challenge. Mastering the map is definitely one of the harder aspects of being a Powerplay secret agent. Here's a system right next to Zemina Torval's home system. Surely they'll want cigars there. It's only 140,000 light seconds to the nearest base. Well, thank goodness for the Mandalay's effortless SCO performance. And yes, they want cigars. And even more yes. When we sell the cigars, a little notice appears in the bottom corner of the screen saying, "We've acquired merits, the gold dust of Powerplay. We've completed our first assignment."
Let's take a quick break and visit our Stronghold carrier. You can only dock on one of these things if you're pledged, so it's a bit special. It also looks pretty cool. All the ships are police ships in your power's colour, and pleasingly they choose not to attack you randomly. You cannot unfortunately get out and walk amongst the blue-suited thought police, but you do have access to some pretty comprehensive outfitting. Pretty much anything you can get at Shinrata Desra is available here too. So you can get all those modules you need for the next 3 missions. The next 3 tasks all apply to reinforcement systems. Like acquisition systems, reinforcement systems don't really exist. What the unhelpful text means is it wants you to do these tasks in exploited, fortified, or stronghold systems. The tasks are to collect bounties, to scan some ship wakes, and to collect some escape pods. None of these sound particularly hard, although you might need to add some weapons, a collect Olympic controller, and a wake scanner to your exploration build Mandalay to complete them. Let's collect some bounties. We're not still flying an exploration build Mandalay, are we? Hang on a minute. Just by targeting ships at the nav beacon, we're passively collecting merits towards one of the other tasks. That's handy. You need a wake scanner to scan high wakes, but it turns out you get the same number of merits for just targeting other ships. Let's take on that dirty asp. Okay, well, we don't actually have enough firepower to kill it, but if we hang around for a bit, guess what? The system police turn up and do all the work for us. And we get a big enough bounty to complete that task in 1. 3 tasks down, 2 more to do. There's 1 more task this week that you need to be in a reinforcement system for, and that's collecting escape pods. Ignore all the high-grade emissions. Who needs them nowadays? What we need is a power wreckage signature, apparently. Then all we need to do is wait while our limpets do all the work, nip back to the station and hand in the pods, and watch the merits flood in. 4 tasks complete out of 5. Look at that! There's only 1 more task to go before we can be inducted into the Zemina Torval Powerplay Hall of Fame.
Our final task, apparently, is the difficult one. We need to take 15 Torval political servants, who are cunningly disguised as cargo canisters, to a system controlled by a different power. This is the first time since accidentally pledging to Torval while in an Ashling system that we've been in any real danger. There's a good system. It's run by Senator Denton Petraeus. Like Senator Zemina Torval, a loyal servant of Emperor Orissa. But in the game of Powerplay, they're willing to double-cross one another, and the Emperor too, if that's what it takes. And look, there's an outpost. That should be relatively easy to sneak into without attracting the attention of Petraeus's cyan cops. And goodness sake, it really is that easy. There must logically be a power contact for each of the powers at each outpost, however small it is, just in case a pledged commander comes by. Surely it must be almost impossible to conceal 11 spies on every single station, outpost and base in every system. Yet it seems it must be so. Here is our very own power contact. Hand over the 15 canisters of political servants, and watch the merits roll in. All our weekly tasks are complete, and we are allowed at last to be members of the Zemina Torval fan club. Not only that, but the extra merits we collected along the way have boosted us all the way to rank 2. So we not only get a decal, we also get a 20% discount when killed, but only if we're killed in a Zemina Torval system. This is one of these 20% off a pizza when you buy another one at full price sorts of offer. It doesn't make the excitement needle even flicker. Still, it's just another 3,000 merits to the next rank, and whatever that has to offer. And it's a one-way process. Once you rank 2, you'll never be rank 1 again. Not unless you realise you made a really bad choice in backing Senator Torval, and you choose to switch your pledge to somewhere else. Doesn't sound likely. So, let's wear our decal with pride, if we can find it. It's in here somewhere.
And that's how we got started with Powerplay. Coming to a galaxy near you by the end of the week. Will we pledge to Senator Torval when we need to do it for real? Who can possibly say?